session we discovered we had a little brush up on like lightning components and this stuff, and we'll see how to work with lightning components, like how to deal with lightning components from a start. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll try to understand little more from the lightning components wise. Let's say, like, the problem here is, right, whatever you build anything, we need to do a testing, isn't it? A quick testing we need to perform. But the question goes like how we can test our lightning components, how we can test our lightning components before adding to a real environment. And what we have done, we created something like account contacts and we added to a tab, right, directly in the application, isn't it? We added a tab. Our lightning component has been added to a tab, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the problem here is, do we really need to configure these many changes just to see your outputs? No. Ideally, you don't need to do this much stuff while you are in development. I mean, the component is not fully developed. You are developing it, and you need to see a preview. Preview in the sense, a quick check whether it is loading as expected or not. So for that, what we can do? Salesforce in developer console, you can create a lightning application. In lightning application, I will saying that my app is my application name, and I'm saying submit it. I'm saying submit it. H1. This is my,
Deepak, is recording started?
yeah.
Okay.
This is my application. You can see an option called preview, isn't it? There is an option. You will get this preview option only from developer console. Don't forget. You will not find this preview anywhere else. You need to figure it out only from a developer console, okay? There is an option of
Okay.
preview. So you can see that the output is generating. And what was our last component name? Anyone remember? Hash.cmp. So last login account underscore contact, right? Account underscore contacts. This one, isn't it? Account underscore contact. Application is a imagine application is a container. What is meant by container? It can have anything. It can have, so let's say if you have a is big basket, so you can put whatever you wanted from a shopping market, right? It's not matter like, hey, this basket should only hold these type of items. But here the same way, application is a container for your components. Container means you can add multiple components within the application. So how to call? The question goes, how to call my how to call lightning component. How to call lightning component. So to call lightning component, the rules are using namespace. The first one is that use namespace to invoke the components. What is namespace here? Anyone know what is namespace? What is general namespace? Generic namespace. Default namespace of anyone. Default namespace is C. Default namespace for lightning components is C. What is custom namespace? You can also create your own namespace by going to setup, packages, by going to package manager. You can create your own namespace by clicking developer settings, continue, and let's say I'll say SFDC Canada is my namespace. I'm checking it. Oh, it's not available. This namespace is available. Canada ILD is something. I'm saying review my selection, save it. Now, what is our namespace here? Canada ILD, isn't it? Now, if I get, guys, you guys are following, right? Any questions still here? Creating a namespace?
Deepak, what is namespace we didn't get?
It's a unique identifier of your code. It's a unique identifier of your code. Imagine this way. You built an account, you built an object saying that account, inside account, you created like a primary phone, okay? Primary phone. And the API name for primary phone, it was something like, imagine this way. This is your system, okay? Uh, account dot primary underscore phone. This is your field that you have created in your organization. Let's say you decided to submit your package as a package solution. Package solution means you are trying to build it as a install packages. So if I am your customer, then I need to install your package, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
To install, but before installing, I also had a field saying that account dot primary underscore phone underscore c. Now these two fields are look similar only, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
This is my phone field and this is my text field. Will that be a conflict or not? Will
Yeah.
that be a conflict? To
Yes.
avoid this conflict, what namespace will do? What namespace will do? It will add one more like this. Now what happened? In entire Salesforce across the globe, Canada ILD namespace will be reserved only for this organization. No one else can able to use it, Canada ILD. Okay?
Okay.
Now this identifies as a unique. If I can go to my package, I mean object manager, if I go to my accounts, fields, now you can see all custom fields has been replaced with Canada ILD double underscore C, right?
Yes.
We can see everywhere all custom fields. Standard fields will not update because standard fields is common across all the organizations, so that won't be an issue. But the only problem, whatever you are creating on your own custom solutions, that will be tagged as Canada underscore underscore. See, you got it,
Okay.
everyone.
Yeah, Deepak.
Workflow rules. Not only this, everywhere, whenever you build anything on your own, it's a configurations, so everything will get updated. See, you got a namespace here. Canada underscore underscore account rating. That's where you need to use. You will not able to use directly saying that this one. Okay. So everywhere you have a namespace now. Okay. The same way here, what is our namespace now? This Canada ILD, isn't it? So here we have a namespace called the first namespace. The namespace whatever we created is Canada ILD, and the default namespace for Lightning components is C. Now, if I want to access, then either I need to use C colon account underscore contacts. I'll say close. The same way I can also do Canada ILD colon account underscore contacts. So up to your wish. Whether you wanted to use actual namespace or you can use C also, C colon also simply. You got it? Any questions? Now what happens by keeping this way? You will get this account contacts output into this component. So you got this component, but styles are not applying, isn't it? Style is not applying, right?
Yes, it looks plain.
Yeah, very plain. So that there are some limits in the application. You can say functionality, but output sometimes it will just hampers always. Any question on namespace now? You understand, right? What is C and what is namespace now? What is the default namespace for Lightning components?
It's C.
What is the namespace?
Unique identifier.
Unique identifier. Why we need a namespace to be created? Just to ensure to create more uniqueness across all organizations.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
Now, let's not worry about this now. What application can contain? Application can contain handlers. Application can contain attributes and handlers, events. Now, what is attribute? What is attribute? In Apex classes, what is variable? What is variable in Apex class?
It can be list also.
A variable which can hold information, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The attribute is kind of a variable in Lightning components. So the attribute also have a data type like string, number, integer, boolean, list, account, object type, whatever the Apex variable data types we have. The same way we also have attributes to be a variable inside Lightning component or a application. The syntax to define your Lightning attributes, Aura attributes, it's Aura colon attribute, attribute name will be your variable name, saying that first name type equal to name. What will be the data type for a first name? Can I use that as an integer?
No, text. String.
String. And you can also say default. Default means, see, generally in Apex, how you will define public string first name, right? If this is something like this, then you don't have a default value for that, isn't it? It's a null, right? Default means like this, default value. The same way if you pass anything here default, that means that you are initializing it. You got it?
Yes.
So the default in the sense, whatever the value you need to assign on load itself by default. So this is an initialization that we are doing here. And then description. What is description? This first name will store the person's name. This is for a description for a developer. You got it? This is nothing to do technically. This is description for a developer. Clear?
Okay, it won't be visible to user.
It won't be visible. As a developer, if I come, hey, why this attribute has been added? I'll check my description, I'll get to know. But this is an optional. Now, I'll create one more attribute called aura attribute name equal to last name type equal to string, and only these two parameters are a required parameters in our attribute. The default description, all these are optional. Okay. What is required here? Only two things, name and type. Clear?
Clear. Deepak, how to create the .app file? Like just creating an application file or what format?
Just by creating a lightning application,
Okay, okay,
it automatically comes.
okay.
Okay. Now, to see an output, we have two types of things: data binding, data assigning. Data binding and data assigning. We have two things: data binding and data assigning, which is two-way data update, one-way data pass. We have two types of assignments. One is data binding and data assigning. Data binding means, let's say, you and me. When I say you and me are working for a goal, let's say a simple. We have a bank account, and every morning we are saving the information. I mean, we are working it, and end of the day we are depositing some money in the bank to the same bank account. So whether my bank account is getting updated as soon as I work, isn't it?
Yes.
But this is one way. The other way, every day before I start work, I'll check my bank balance. I'll deposit that information in my own account. Whether my common account will get update, it will not update.
Common account.
Okay, simple. Let me put this way. Let me draw.io. I have an object here. I have an object called account dot name, and I am updating this account name from this place. Name equal to 10. Name colon 10. If I update my name equal to something called 15, will this be updated or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
The same way, this is called pass by reference, isn't it? So because they are sharing to a same memory, right?
Yes.
But this is one way. The other way of communication is like, I have a memory, I have a memory, name, colon, and I have one more field, name equal to. This is updating to this memory, and this is reading from here, and account dot name here account dot name, and here also I have another memory called account dot name. When it is loading for a first time, then it is accessing an information called value. Account dot name value. It is accessing from here. So in this case, what happened? This is pass by reference or a pass by value. Now this have its own memory. This have its own memory. If I update anything here, will this gonna update to this object or not? No, right? You see arrow marks. No information is sending from this account to this account, isn't it?
Yes.
Is there any arrow mark showing that this information is sending to here?
No. So that arrow mark means the way program is
Yes.
running, right?
Yes, exactly. It is reading a data. It is reading an information. But as soon as any updates, it is not sending any information to the actual value. So here if it is 10 by default, then you will get 10 here. What if I change even 12 here? It will not update to this place, right? It will not update. Yes or no?
Right.
Yes.
It won't.
Yeah. So even this is called pass by reference, sharing a same memory object and accessing information. Here what we did, we cloned the two different objects and we're passing values, like we are initializing another object with a default values, whatever you provided as a default here. Now same concept goes here. Let's say I'll create one thing called lightning colon input, lightning colon input label equal to first name value. How can I access values? By flower brace, explanatory mark, v dot your attribute name. This is the syntax, guys. If you want to access any attributes inside a values or lightning components, you need to use v dot. You need to use flower braces assigning op. This is called data binding operator. This is called binding operator. Exclamatory mark is a binding operator. You need to use v dot. The syntax is v dot your attribute name, and I'll say comma, and I'll say br. Br means break. Output first name colon. I'll say v dot first name. The same thing I do for data assignment. Instead of doing this, lightning colon input label equal to last name value equal to flower braces. Instead of binding operator, I'll be using assigning operator called hash. What is assigning operator? Hash. And I'll say default, FAULT, default equal to onload value. I'm saying onload value. This is a default value. Okay. And I'll say hash v dot last name and output.
Their default includes the value.
Which one? Here.
Yeah.
Say this is as simple as this one. String last name equal to onload value. Like
Okay.
this.
Okay. Okay.
If I say only default and I don't enter, it will be like this. If I don't provide any value, right, this will be assigned to a blank. If I don't have a default, then it will be declared, not initialized. Output last name colon. Now I'll say v dot last name. here? Any questions? Now if I go here, you get a data card. Onload value it is loaded right by default because we provided onload. If I change my first name, is my first name is getting updated at output also, isn't it? See, right? The same thing if I do here, well, my onload value is updating or not? Guys, here observation is really important. So now we are discussing an important concept called data binding by using exclamatory mark and hashtag. Whenever you use hash, whatever the data is there onload, it will accept. Once it is accepted, even though you modified the field value, it will not reflect the changes in the aura attribute. It remains same. Got it?
Yes.
It's as simple as this diagram. If you can see the picture, it's same. When I update my first name, it is updating my output also. But in this case, even by default, the value is 10. In our case, the default value is onload value. So we got onload value. Even if I'm changing anything, it will not reflect in the aura attribute. That's what it is happening. Even if it isn't changing, it is not changing the value from the aura attribute. It remains same. See, I modified, removed, null, no changes, isn't it? But if it is a first name, then it is changing. What if I keep here also a hashtag, as you are saying? Let me keep here a hashtag, and I saved it.
It will change.
Are you sure? Where it is changing? I'm not seeing any changes.
It
No.
won't change. You are changing in the output, right? That's why.
Now, let's say, what if I change here like this? In the first name, what happens? If I entered anything here, will output will be printing or it will not print?
It
No.
will print.
No.
Yes, no, because this is assigning operator now. So ultimately what happened? This moved from this concept to this concept. As soon as you see a hash mark, it means that it's a pass by value, nothing but data assignment. One way data binding will be happen. There will be no two-way data binding. Okay? It means that this attribute will create its own memory object within the containers. Clear? Any questions? Any question?
No.
No.
Yeah. So all you need to understand, whenever you use ascending operator, it means that the value will be same across all the references. Whenever you use hash, you'll ensure that okay, there will be different values in the component. Simple. So now I just modified like this. I take my last name and I'll pass as a query here by keeping question mark your attribute name and saying that I am good. So your value is getting updated here, right? So you are trying to overload it. What is my overload? Whenever you are loading, you are passing your attribute as a query parameter. Application will able to understand if anything they are passing as the same parameter name. Clear? Now I pass my last name equal to this one. If I pass my first name equal to I am good, then automatically the update is happening, right? First name equal to good. Yes or no? You can pass your attribute, Lightning application attributes as a query parameters when from a developer console. Clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now let me create a simple component. CMP1. My component I'm just mentioning CMP1. I created it. H1. I am from CMP1. Now what I want to do, I want to access my CMPs. I want to access my CMPs. How to call my CMP here? How to call my CMP?
C dot colon CMP.
Okay, two ways. Either you can go with the default namespace of C, or you can also use our namespace, the one we created called Canada ILD, right? Either you can use C colon CMP1, right? So as soon as you see, we'll get an output saying that, hey, I'm from CMP1. Good, we had an output. Then now I'll define one more attribute here saying that these two attributes again I will develop, copy paste it. So it means that I'm creating attributes even in the component one. Clear? Any questions? Any questions here? Do we need to discuss again like what is this loading and all? Come on guys. Do we need to discuss how to create attributes? What is attribute?
It's like a variable.
It's like a variable. Perfect. So now what I'm doing, I'm creating two variables inside my component one. But the only thing is that it's the same name. First name, last name, the way we had in the application, isn't it? So now, whatever input I have here, let me grab this input. I'll keep it here. Let me grab this input. I'll keep it here. And I'll also keep one more thing called lightning output last name. But in this case, I'm not using access. I'll be using hashmore say. Is that fine? Now let's go here. We got an output. Now if I update anything here, will that change anything? No, right? Now how we are defining? We have a component. Inside component, we have two attributes, first name and last name. And we have a two input fields just to update your first name and last name, right? So now, whatever data if I pass, let's say first name, and I'm saying first name equal to Lakshmi. First name equal to Lakshmi. But this is not this is displaying only limited to your application. This is your application structure, and the bottom you are getting from component, right? Okay. So hope your silence makes you guys are understanding clear. So now what I'm doing, I'm trying to pass a value. I wanted to pass my application attributes to the lightning component attributes. Now I'll copy my attribute name and I'll paste it here equal to double quotes v dot first name. V dot first name. The same thing I do again. I'll go to my component. I'll copy my second attribute called last name and I will paste it here and then I'll say v dot last name. V dot last name. So even I bind it data. Now tell me one thing. Now tell me one thing. If I modify anything here, if I type Gautam here, will that Gautam will show here or not? I'll go to component. If I modify Gautam in this place, my output will changes or it will not change.
It should change.
Why it will change? Why it will change?
Because it's a value, right?
because we are using data binding as an explanatory mark.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, the same way, will the change reflect in this component also, in the CMP1 also? Whatever value you are typing, will that the same value reflect in this first name also, or it will not?
It will not. For CMP, we didn't initialize the output.
Where we didn't initialize the output? Here. But the
No.
problem here is, right? But if you can see, CMP first name is also sharing your application first name, right? And they are in data binding, isn't it?
Yes.
Technically, if you see this way, even this CMP1 also sharing a same memory space. It is not having its own now. It is sharing the same memory space. You can see if needed. Deepak. Is that getting updated?
Yes.
Technically, right, wherever you can see a data binding operator, explanatory mark, it means that all the values are referring to the same memory object. They will not have a duplicates anywhere. Clear?
Clear.
And the same way, for a lightning last name, we have assigning operator in one component, and but we have a data binding operator here, right? So now if I change anything here, my output is updating or not? Output of last name is updating, right?
Yeah.
Because this alone is a data assigner, but rest all you can see data binding. Clear? Here we need to understand, always focus on one element, one syntax, whether it is following is an explanatory mark, whether it is containing a hashtag. When it is a hashtag, whenever the component is loading for a first time, that time only it will get value. After that, whatever changes you made here, it will not go and reflect in your attribute. Okay? It will sit within the lightning input only. It will not gonna reflect in your attributes. Clear?
Clear.
So technically what it means, string name equal to Deepak, and I'll say string L name equal to Deepak. Sorry, L name equal to name. Now L name equal to Lakshmi. So now tell me system.debug name system.debug L name. So what is the outcomes here? What is the output? What is the output? Here, what will be the output? Debug statement. Here,
Yeah, name.
what will be the
Name.
output?
It would be Deepak again.
Here,
It would be Deepak.
here.
No, Lakshmi.
So now this is called onload because you never modified any data. As soon as component loads, the output remains looks similar for both the values for name and lname, isn't it? Because they are doing assignment. But here I'm changing my value. That time what happened? You are not assigning any value to name. You are changing value to L name. That is in a different variable. Yes or no? It means that it have its own memory. Clear? Now we can see an output. Whatever output you are mentioning, that is right. Deepak on load, and Deepak still remains same, and Lakshmi the because we have modified that value the same way we are doing here. If I can go by default, what is onload value? Onload value. So, and you are using that last name here also, and same last name here also. The same way like name and L name. So output remains same onload. If I load, so what is the default value? Onload value still remains same. But here I'm changing my L name to Deepak. Here where we can change your values here. What happened? Even after changing L name, the name is different and output is different. You got different, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
The same thing here. It's like a pass by value. When it is a pass by value, you can expect there will be multiple values for the same attribute at different stages. Clear? But pass by reference in the sense, let's say account SSC equal to new account, and I'll say name equal to Deepak. Okay, and I'll say account ACC1 equal to ACC, and ACC1 dot name equal to Lakshmi. And name this is ACC and this is ACC1. ACC1 dot name. Now tell me the output. By default, what is the ACC name here? What is the ACC name by default?
Deepak.
Deepak. And here ACC1 name is?
Same Deepak.
Here ACC name is?
Deepak.
Here?
Oh, it is Lakshmi.
Exactly, that where the mistake is. Because they are sharing the same memory here. ACC1 equal to ACC in the sense, this is called pass by reference. You are passing object to object, right? You are not assigning them. You are saying object equal to object means that is called pass by reference. Now let me execute this output. Let me execute highlighted. What is the outcome? You got it. ACC also becomes Lakshmi, right?
Yes.
The reason behind it is falling under this category. Same memory object. When I say this way, ACC equal to, when I say ACC equal to new account for Sunil, this is for you. Okay, this is for you. If I say this way, ACC1 dot name equal to ACC dot name, then you are right. Because here am I passing any pass by reference or a pass by value? This is called pass by value. You are pointing a particular value field to be mapped, not everything as a object, right?
Okay. If we pass by object wise means it will locate to the memory location.
Exactly.
By value means only that value.
So if I do like this, then whatever the statement you made before, that is right. Execute highlighted. Now earlier you said right Deepak for name also. See, now it never changed. It's the same output you mentioned before, isn't it?
Okay.
So it always depends. We need to keep an eye. Are we assigning an object are we assigning a value in the Apex side. In the Lightning component side, whether you are using explanatory mark or you are using hash mark. Okay.
Okay.